Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Conversation Academy. I am Emma, and I am so happy to have you here with us today.
And I am Alex. We are really glad you joined us for this session. Today, we are going to do something very special. We are going to practice English by talking about something very real, which is how to talk about our fears without sounding weak.
That is a great topic, Alex, because everyone feels fear, but many people are afraid to talk about it. They think it makes them look small, but actually, talking about fear is a sign of great strength.
I totally agree, and it takes courage to say, hey, I am scared of this. So today, we want to show you the words and phrases you can use to express these feelings naturally in English.
But before we get into the deep stuff, how are you doing today, Alex? How was your morning?
My morning was actually a bit stressful. I had to drive through some very heavy rain to get here. And I will be honest, driving in bad weather always makes me a little nervous.
Oh, I hear you. I am the same way. The roads get so slippery and it is hard to see. Did you make it okay?
Yes, I am here in one piece. But my hands were shaking a little bit when I parked the car. It is funny how such a common thing can still trigger a bit of fear.
That is a perfect example of what we are talking about. You didn't say, I am a coward. You just acknowledged that the situation was difficult. That is the first step to talking about fear without sounding weak.
Exactly, Emma. It is all about how you frame it. Instead of saying, I am scared, I could say, driving in the rain is quite challenging for me. Or, it makes me feel a bit on edge.
I love that phrase, on edge. It describes that feeling of being tense or nervous without sounding like you're panicking. It is very natural.
It really is. So, what about you, Emma? Have you faced any fears lately? Even small ones?
Well, actually, I had to give a short speech at my cousin's wedding last weekend, and oh my, I was terrified.
Oh, really? You always seem so confident when we are filming these videos. I can't believe you were nervous.
Believe me, I was. My heart was racing, and I felt like there were butterflies in my stomach. Public speaking is actually one of the most common fears in the world.
That is so true. I think I read somewhere that people fear public speaking more than they fear spiders or heights.
Wow, that is incredible. But you know what I did? I didn't tell everyone. I am so scared I can't do this. I just told my sister, I am feeling a bit of stage fright, but I am going to push through it.
That is the key. Acknowledging the feeling but showing that you are still in control. Saying, I have a bit of stage fright, sounds much more professional than saying, I am scared.
Exactly. It is about owning the emotion. And, once I started speaking, the fear started to fade away. It is often the anticipation that is worse than the actual event.
I have noticed that too. We spend so much time worrying about what might happen that we exhaust ourselves before the thing even starts.
That is why I like the phrase, I am working through some nerves. It shows that you are active. You are not just sitting there being afraid. You are doing something about it.
That is a great one. I am working through some nerves. I will have to remember that for the next time I have a big meeting.
You should. It sounds very honest, but also very strong. So, Alex, do you think there is a difference between being afraid and being weak?
Oh, absolutely. Being weak would be letting the fear stop you from doing what you need to do. But being brave is feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
That is a famous saying, isn't it? Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it.
Precisely. And I think in our daily lives, we face small fears all the time, like the fear of making a mistake when speaking English. I know many of our students feel that way.
Oh, definitely. I see it in the comments all the time. People are afraid they will sound silly or that people will judge them, but making mistakes is how we learn.
I always tell people, if you are not making mistakes, you are not pushing yourself hard enough. You are staying in your comfort zone.
That is so true. And the comfort zone is a nice place, but nothing ever grows there. We have to step out into the fear zone to reach the growth zone.
I love that idea. So for our viewers, if you are feeling nervous about your English, you could say, I am still building my confidence, rather than, I am afraid to speak.
Yes, I am still building my confidence. That sounds so much more positive. It shows that you are on a journey, and everyone respects a person who is trying to improve.
It is all about the vocabulary we choose. Words have power, and the way we talk to ourselves is just as important as the way we talk to others.
I agree 100%. If I tell myself, I am a failure because I made a mistake, I will feel weak. But if I tell myself, I am learning something new, and it is a bit challenging, I feel like a warrior.
A warrior. I like that. We are all language warriors fighting through the difficult grammar and the tricky pronunciation.
That is funny, but it is true. And sometimes we fear things that are actually good for us, like the fear of change.
Oh, that is a big one. My brother recently moved to a new city for a new job, and he was really struggling with the decision. He was worried he wouldn't make friends or that he would hate the new office.
That is a very natural fear. Everything familiar is being left behind. How did he handle it?
Well, he was very honest about it. He told us, I have some apprehensions about this move, but I know it is the right step for my career.
Apprehensions. That is a sophisticated word. It means a feeling of anxiety or fear that something bad will happen. But it sounds very mature.
Yes, it is a great word to use in a professional setting. Instead of saying, I am scared of the new project, you can say, I have a few apprehensions about the timeline.
It makes you sound like you are thinking deeply about the situation, not just reacting with emotion. It shows that you are analyzing the risks.
Exactly. And that is what strong people do. They look at the risk, they feel the fear, and they prepare themselves.
My mother always used to say, don't worry about the bridge until you get to the river. She meant that we shouldn't waste energy fearing things that haven't happened yet.
Your mother was a very wise woman, Emma. I tend to worry about the bridge, the river, and the weather at the same time.
Oh my, you are a classic overthinker, Alex. I am a bit like that too. I sometimes lie in bed at night thinking about things that might go wrong next month.
I think many people do that. It is part of the human condition. But I have started using a technique where I ask myself, what is the best thing that could happen?
That is a great shift in perspective. Usually we only ask, what is the worst thing that could happen? Focusing on the best case scenario can really reduce the fear.
It really can. And when you talk about those worries with a friend, it helps to say, I am just processing some what-if scenarios.
I am just processing some what-if scenarios. That is such a cool way to put it. It makes your fear sound like a mental exercise rather than a weakness.
That is the goal. We want to be authentic and real, but we also want to maintain our dignity and our strength.
I think another fear people have is the fear of being judged by their family or friends, especially when they try something new, like a new hobby or a new career path.
Oh, definitely. I remember when I first told my friends I wanted to start a garden. They all laughed because I had never grown even a single plant before.
Wow. Did that make you want to quit?
For a second. Yeah, I was afraid of failing and having them say, I told you so. But then I realized that their judgment was about them, not about me.
That is a very important lesson. People who judge others are often just afraid to try things themselves.
Exactly. So I told them, I know I am a beginner, but I am excited to see what I can learn. And you know what? Now they all come to my house to eat my fresh tomatoes.
That is so satisfying. Ah, I love that. You turned your fear of failure into a successful hobby, and you did it by being honest about being a beginner.
And that is another way to sound strong. Just admitting, I am new at this. It takes away the power of people to judge you because you have already said it yourself.
Yes, it is like a shield. If you say, I am still learning, no one can hurt you by saying, you don't know what you are doing.
It is very empowering. So, Emma, what about the fear of the unknown, like the future in general?
That is a big one for me. Sometimes I look at the world and the economy, and I feel a bit overwhelmed. It feels like everything is changing so fast.
I feel that too. It can be very daunting, especially with all the news we see every day.
Daunting. That is another great word. It means something that feels very difficult or intimidating, like a huge mountain you have to climb.
Yes, it is much more descriptive than just saying it is scary. When you say, like, the future feels a bit daunting, it shows that you understand the scale of the challenge.
And when things feel daunting, I find it helpful to break them down into small pieces. I don't look at the whole mountain, I just look at the next step.
That is the best way to handle any fear, one step at a time. And talking about it helps to clear the fog.
I think some people think that if they don't talk about fear, it will go away. But it is usually the opposite. Hidden fear grows in the dark, but when you bring it into the light, it shrinks.
That is a beautiful way to put it. It is like the monsters under the bed when we were children. Once you turn on the light and look, they are just old socks and dust.
Exactly. And as adults, our monsters are things like fear of rejection or fear of not being good enough. But when we talk to a friend and say, I am feeling a bit insecure about this, we realize we are not alone.
And that is the most powerful thing, knowing that everyone else is also a bit scared. Even the people who look the most confident.
Oh, absolutely. I have met some very successful people, CEOs and famous performers. And when you talk to them privately, they all have fears.
Really, even the big bosses?
Yes, they just have better ways of talking about it. They might say, we are facing some significant uncertainties, or we are navigating a complex environment.
Those are the business versions of fear. Significant uncertainties. That sounds so much more powerful than we don't know what to do and we are scared.
Exactly. It is the same emotion, but the words change the way people perceive you. It shows that you are still the leader of your own life.
I think our viewers can use this in their jobs too. If you have to tell your boss about a problem, don't say, I am afraid this won't work. Say, I have some concerns regarding the potential outcome.
That is perfect. I have some concerns. It sounds like you are being responsible and careful. It doesn't sound like you are weak at all.
It is all about professional vocabulary, and it makes a huge difference in how people treat you at work.
I remember a time when I had to tell a client that a project was going to be late. I was so nervous that they would be angry or fire me.
That is a stressful situation. How did you handle the conversation?
I took a deep breath and I said, I want to be transparent with you about some challenges we're facing. We are committed to quality. So we need a little more time to ensure everything is perfect.
Wow, that is brilliant. You use the word transparent, which people love, and you frame the delay as a commitment to quality.
Thank you. And you know what? They weren't angry at all. They actually thanked me for being so honest and professional.
That is a great lesson. Often the thing we fear is much less scary when we face it with the right words.
I think we should also talk about physical fear, like fear of heights or fear of small spaces, because those can be very intense.
Oh, I have a terrible fear of heights. If I am on a balcony that is higher than the third floor, my knees start to feel like jelly.
I can't believe it. You are so tall, Alex. I thought you would be used to being high up.
That is funny, but no. Being tall doesn't help at all. It just means I have further to fall in my imagination.
So, when you have to go somewhere high, how do you talk about it with your friends?
I usually say, I am not very fond of heights, so I might stay back a bit from the edge. It sounds much better than, I am terrified and I want to cry.
Yes. I am not very fond of is a very polite and British way of saying you don't like something or that it scares you. It is very subtle.
It is, or you can say, I have a bit of a phobia. Most people respect that and don't push you to do things you aren't comfortable with.
I think it is important to set those boundaries. Saying, I am going to sit this one out, is a sign of knowing yourself, which is a strength.
I agree. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Being brave doesn't mean you have to jump out of airplanes if you don't want to.
Exactly. It is about choosing your battles. I might be afraid of spiders, but I can still be a very strong and capable person.
Of course, I think sometimes we confuse fear with our character, but fear is just a feeling. It is not who you are.
That is a very deep thought. Fear is a feeling, not an identity. I might feel fear, but I am not fear.
Exactly. And when we use English to describe it, we can use that distance instead of saying, I am scared. You can say, I am experiencing some anxiety.
I am experiencing. That sounds like something that is passing through you, like a cloud in the sky. The sky is still there, but the cloud is just moving by.
That is a great metaphor, Emma. You are getting very poetic today.
I think talking about these topics makes me feel a bit more thoughtful. It is nice to go beyond the usual. How are you? And the weather is nice.
It really is. That is why I love these long conversations. We can really explore the language and the emotions behind it.
I think our viewers appreciate it too. Because when you live in a foreign country or work in an international environment, you need to be able to talk about these things to make real connections.
Definitely. Yeah, you can't build a deep friendship if you only talk about your favorite food or your weekend plans.
You have to be able to share your struggles. And when you share them in a strong way, it actually builds more trust.
I agree. If someone tells me about a fear they have, I feel like they trust me, and it makes me want to support them.
It is a very human thing. We all want to feel connected, and being honest about our fears is one of the fastest ways to do that.
So let's review some of the phrases we have used so far. For our friends who are taking notes.
Good idea. We had, I am feeling a bit on edge, and I have a few apprehensions.
And we had, I am working through some nerves, and I am still building my confidence.
Also, the professional ones, like I have some concerns, and I want to be transparent about the challenges.
And my favorite, I am not very fond of, for those things that make your knees feel like jelly.
Those are all so useful, and they all help you maintain your power while being vulnerable.
I think the word vulnerable is interesting because in the past, people thought it was a bad thing, but now we know it is the foundation of courage.
Yes, there is a lot of research on that now. You can't be brave without being vulnerable, because if there is no risk, there is no need for courage.
That is a great point. So every time you feel afraid, you are actually standing at the door of courage.
I love that. Fear is the doorway to courage. We just have to decide to walk through it.
And having the right words is like having a key to that door. It makes the transition much easier.
I also think it is important to have a sense of humor about our fears, like you did with the driving and the heights.
Oh, definitely. If you can laugh at yourself, the fear loses its grip on you. It becomes a funny story rather than a dark secret.
That is what I do with my fear of spiders. I call them my uninvited eight-legged roommates. It makes them sound less like monsters and more like annoying neighbors.
That is funny. I can just imagine you talking to a spider. Excuse me. You haven't paid rent this month. Please leave.
Exactly. It changes the energy of the room, and it makes me feel like I am in charge again.
I think humor is one of the best tools we have for mental health. And for learning English, too.
Oh, absolutely. We always try to have a bit of fun in our lessons. Because if you are laughing, your brain is more open to learning.
It is true, and when you are stressed or afraid of making a mistake, your brain shuts down. But when you are relaxed, the words just flow.
So, for everyone watching, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and remember that it is okay to be a beginner. It is okay to feel nervous.
You are doing a great job just by being here and listening to this. That is a step out of your comfort zone already.
It really is. 30 minutes of English is a lot of work, and you should be proud of yourself.
We are definitely proud of you. And we hope these phrases give you more confidence in your next conversation.
So, Alex, do you have any final thoughts on fear before we wrap up for today?
I think my final thought is just that fear is a signal. It tells us that something is important to us. We don't fear things we don't care about.
Wow, that is so true. We fear failing because we want to succeed. We fear rejection because we want to be loved.
Exactly. So instead of hating your fear, try to thank it for showing you what matters. And then, use your words to handle it with strength.
That is a perfect ending, Alex. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you, Emma. It was a pleasure talking about this with you. I actually feel a bit more courageous now.
Me too. Talking about fear really does make it feel smaller. I think I am ready to face the rest of my day.
I am too. Hopefully the rain has stopped, so my drive home will be a bit less daunting.
I hope so too. And I hope everyone watching has a wonderful and brave day.
Thank you for joining us. It was great to have you here.
Don't forget to practice these phrases in the comments. We love to see your examples.
Yes, tell us about a small fear you have and use one of the strong phrases we discussed.
We will be looking for your comments, but for now, it is time to say goodbye.
Take care of yourselves and stay brave.
See you in the next video, everyone.
Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.